Bum, bum. Hey, chat. How are you guys doing tonight? Fancy seeing you here. Welcome to Thursday night. We've made it again, chat. We've made it again. You guys talking about Instapots. Instapots are good. They are very good. So yes, welcome everybody. We are here, much anticipated if you are new. And you've found us through the Karen Reed trial this week. Welcome. This is the Thursday show. I want to say hello to everybody out there on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Kick, Rumble, and importantly, here on YouTube. And then last but not least, on Locals. Now it's Locals, you may ask. Well, Locals is basically like Patreon, but you kind of do what you want there, and you don't have to worry about people screwing with what you're doing, or, oh no, they may not like it eventually. Nope. That doesn't happen there. Locals is what you wished Patreon was, and what Patreon was before it got political. So over at potentiallycriminal.locals.com, we have our own community there, and we get to hang out. We have fun. We have a community page there where you guys can join and talk and post things and do all kinds of neat stuff. It costs you nothing to join. In fact, you can do pretty much everything there except what I think is the best part. The best part is if you are a supporter, $3 a month, you pay for 10 months, you get 2 months free. You get access to the live show. So we do a live show every Monday night and every Thursday night. The Monday night show goes from about like 8:30 till generally like 10:30, 11 o'clock. We go till Locals. They only give you about 3 hours of bandwidth, or that's the amount I'm allowed on Locals. And then every Thursday night after this show, we go over and hang out on Locals for a while. You know, like just like R. Kelly says, after the show, it's the after party. And except we don't go to the hotel lobby. But it is a very fun time. I thoroughly enjoy it. I know everybody else who's involved enjoys it all the time. And we do quite a bit there. It's stuff we don't get to talk about here, stuff that doesn't fit the programming format of here on YouTube. It's also the stuff we're not allowed to watch on YouTube or talk about on YouTube or on Twitch or on Rumble or on anywhere else. So it's a lot of fun. It's like our little secret. And it is every Thursday after the show. And what's going on right now during the show? Well, we have a live chat that's running. Anybody can join in, and it's a lot of fun. People get to hang out there, and well, you can do what you want over there. Really, is how that goes. So, if you're interested, you could do 1 month free with the promo code Switchy, and this is like a Glock Switchy. Do you promo code Switchy, you get 1 month free access. After that, there's no obligation. But if you do try it out, I hope you enjoy it and want to stick around. So that's over at Locals, and hope to see you there. You guys are talking about deviled eggs. Yeah, they make people fart. Now, if you guys are also new, we try to give people about 10 minutes to catch up. YouTube doesn't do the best about notifications. And in fact, really, the only thing that's really good at notifications is Twitch. And that's from the lovely future Mrs. Mar 2.0 doing her research on what's the best one out there. So they will be very good about it. Keopathic for $5 saying, pass my CASP Plus exam. Listen to your nonsense while studying. Take my money, fat man. Well, congratulations. Now, I got to figure out what the hell that means. CASP Plus certification. What does that mean? Oh, a CompTIA Advanced Security Practitioner. Okay. Okay, so you can help people hide their porno. It is an advanced level cybersecurity certification for security architects and senior security engineers charged with leading and improving an enterprise's cybersecurity readiness. All to be defeated by some guy who uploads a random thumb drive he finds sitting around into your computer system. So, good luck. But congratulations. Congratulations to you. I assume that was not easy because I have no idea what the hell that entails, and I'm assuming it's kind of hard. And then Stephen Cooper saying, "Have you seen the New York belt strangling?" Oh yeah, we're gonna. I saw that while I was getting ready, and oh my god, we are gonna touch on that because that is. You watch those drone videos in Ukraine. I'm like, that's kind of nightmare fuel. Um, that I think that's nightmare fuel. But when you watch what happened in New York, the belt strangling, God, that's just yeah, doing that. That's just yeah, some scary stuff. And then Otto for $5, or Otto not for $5, gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Otto. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Oh, Flux, are you in here? Somebody saying hi. Hey, Flux, how you doing? I only like the hotel lobbies that have the horrible engineering accidents. Yes, those are the best ones. Yes, you could also post memes in the chat on locals. All kinds of memes. And then I did want to say over in the Rumble chat, Eric's over there first in Rumble. Yes, congrats. Congrats. And actually, I don't know. Is anybody over at Kick and Kick? I set it up, but I don't know if people actually use it. Oh, Winter Soldier's over here on Kick. Okay, how you doing, man? Why is this? Hmm. Why won't this pop out? But yeah, that's okay. I'll just leave it alone. So let's get started. We're about ready to get started. We're gonna keep going. See what else you guys are talking about tonight. Are we gonna talk about your daughter's arrest? What? I'm confused. Nero's saying, yes, being a network engineer, no matter how good you build something, some dumbass with his passwords on a sticky note next to his monitor always destroys everything. Now, to be fair, I was never that guy. I was pretty good about protecting my passwords. Stephen Cooper just gifted 10 memberships. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for your support and your generosity. And then Trenton over on Twitch. Hello. How many people we got over on Twitch? 2. Yes. With 10 gifted subs. I have a baby girl. No. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, no, we'll cover that one. That one's a funny one. I need to cover that one later. Although I think it was I think it was one of my dad's best friends. He said, when because it's like once I turned like 34 or 35, he says, "Remember, you're getting the age where some 18-year-old kid's going to walk up to you and say, 'Hi, Dad.'" You know what? And he's got a point. You got to be careful. You never know when that'll happen, depending on what you did early on in life. All right, guys, let's get started. Let's get started. First off, big news. Richard Allen, his trial has been kicked out to October. That is partially, well, it's mainly by the request of the defense. They have a bunch of motions they're going to be filing. And also, the judge has realized, wow, she's kind of in over her head. And it led to the defense attorneys basically calling her out saying she had no idea what the fuck is going on in the case. So it has been pushed out to October. The judge is still maintained. Judge Gill has still maintained her vice-like grip on the courtrooms, and it's funny because she was she was a pioneer of allowing cameras in the courtroom, except this time. So there are There are things we will talk about. There are some motions that have been filed. We'll be covering them coming up. But as far as things are concerned, we are not dealing with Richard Allen as a trial until November, which is kind of funny because when Rosie and Bradley got initially kicked off the case and his two new attorneys took over, he was set for a trial in October of this year. It's like, that's kind of funny how that works out. Kind of weird. Yeah, very weird. Very funny. So Richard Allen, there's a lot going on there, but for right now, that's the short of it. It sounds like it was a very contested hearing they had this past week. So that is the situation with there. We've been watching Karen Reed now for a couple of days. We are just finished day 8. Tomorrow is day 9. So here's how this is gonna work, chat. I thought I might not have to be in court tomorrow, but it looks like I am going to be. So I will be able to do till about the 1 o'clock break. And after that, I'm gonna have to leave. So I'll stop the stream and then we'll pick up the afternoon segment in the evening. I've got I do have a looks like I'm going to be having a bench trial tomorrow, so because that's how I want to finish the Friday. I wish we could have resolved it or done another day, but looks like we might be having it tomorrow. So I have to go to court. If I get, it starts at 2. So even if I get back, let's say, we get done with it by 3, when I'm get home by 3:30, I don't know if I'm going to start late or I might just start like at 4 or 5 and then pick up from there. I'm not really sure yet. Keep your eyes peeled. We'll figure something out. Good luck. You got that trial at your bitch. I got some ideas. I got some ideas. Not too sure how it's gonna work, but hey, we're gonna go. We'll go down in flames if we have to, but we'll make the fight work. Alpha says you'll move for a continuance. No, don't do that. I don't need help from chat. Please do not help me. Don't be calling courts and be like, we need Sean on the internet today, Judge. Please don't do that. It's mortifying when a judge figures out that I have a show and a couple of them have seen it. So I don't want them to know. Yes, I'm rubbing my employment status on one of my contemporaries' faces. Yeah. Ariel says, how long do bench trials usually last? It depends on the type of case. This one is kind of like a traffic accident, so it's not super long. I got appointed to it. So that's all I'm gonna say about it. But it's I'll just leave it there. I'll just leave it at that. Yes, I have to go do my day job. Justin's saying this court's doing a Friday hearing. No. It's no. We're doing a bench trial, and the court put aside 2 hours for it. I don't think we'll need 2 hours. I bet we'll be. There's only it's a car crash and a couple of things that happened at the same time. There's only gonna be even if everybody we subpoena shows up and that I need shows up, it's like 5 witnesses total. So not really that big a deal. But yeah, Travis County Court, it's short dock at 15 minutes or less. Well, a lot of places around here don't really do it. Like, if it's not Friday morning, you're not doing it. So, so as far as Karen Reed's concerned, guys, I've been watching it. It is for any of you out there, if you ever become a prosecutor, don't do it like they're doing this. Don't drag it on for days and days and days. I don't care if everybody was at the bar and there was a band at the bar and we all drank some beer at the bar. Like, let's get to it. Like, yes, we've had 5 people talk about, yes, they're all standing in the back of the bar at the high tops. Okay, cool. There's the band. What happens after that? Like, What do we need to know? Because at this point, we're all convinced there was a big old swinger party there at the house where they found John O'Keefe. Like, let's get to it. Uh, I am at a loss. I am at a loss for what they're trying to present, but hey, what do I know? What do I know? I'm not some fancy Massachusetts attorney. So, with that being said, how do I feel about the case so far? I mean, the police investigation's really sloppy and pathetic so far. So, yes, my not guilty needle is still on not guilty. But does that mean there's nothing there that could convince me Karen Reed did it? No, there's still a lot that could happen. And that one EMT claiming she says, "Oh my God, I did it. I hit him." It's easy to discount, but it's still out there, and I don't know if any jurors have hooked on that. I think the bigger issues are going to be this, like the broken tail light, and then I think the ultimate concern, I think, is what's their medical examiner going to say. I'm really curious, waiting for the autopsy part. So that will be very interesting. We are, like I said, we will start that at 9 o'clock. And well, like I said, we'll go till lunch or they're 1 o'clock, and then I'll have to cut it off, and then we'll pick up from there. I will also say though, right before that, Jeff is doing his Bucket Friday. For some reason, he's doing it at 8 a.m. I know why he's doing it that way, because it matches up to the time where he lives, so it's at night. I'll be on with Jeff at 8 a.m., hanging out with him for a little while. So we'll see you guys there. We'll get a little practice before we start the Karen Reed case. But I just wanted to give you guys that information. Nico says every jury I'm on is a hung one. Boo. That's a bad dad joke. MLS got a lot. David, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Is it a traffic accident like the Reed case? No, nobody got run over. No, it was a very minor accident. No, I don't want Chad to call in an emergency to the court. I'll get there and they'll be like, Mr. Martin, I'll say, yeah, hi, Judge, how you doing? He's like, do you mind coming up here? He's like, the clerk's office got flooded by a call of people who appear to be heavily autistic. Do you know anything about that? And I'll be like, no, Judge, it just sounds like a bunch of retards got a hold of a phone number. I don't know what to say. There's a lot of retarded people out there. So please don't. Is there Zoom? No. If there was any access to this place, I'll never tell. And it's not. There's not, so don't worry. And even if I thought there would be, I would reach up and unplug all the cameras. Yes, the clerk's. It's like, Mr. Martin, do you know why the clerk's office got called with people just repeatedly screaming Baldo into the phone? Do you know what that's about? I'm like, can't get the faintest idea, Judge. What is a Baldo? 10 cases. We can use Google to find you. Oh, yeah. If I unplug the cameras, Joe will sue me. Alan says, I'm going to random Cleveland courts. I'm only 45 minutes away. Well, there's quite a few, so be careful. It'll take some time. AJ says for $10, don't worry. We'll just go there with signs real early advocating for jury nullification. Well, it's a bench trial, and you're not going to convince the judge of jury nullification. That would be hilarious if you got the judge to do jury nullification. So I would actually, if you could work that way, that would be hilarious. Oh. Yeah, base nullifying judge. That said, though, this judge has overturned, like, I've gone in front of him for things, and he's ruled in favor of the defense. He's a very fair judge. All right, guys, so we are moving on from there. That's enough about me and what dumb crap I'm dealing with. So when got our Karen Reed update out of the way. I know that's not exactly a super huge or involved update, but we do have some Second Amendment related issues we should talk about. And the first one is actually really good news if you live in Colorado. We covered this, oh God, a while back. But in Colorado, the assault weapons ban, to quote Boys to Men, has reached the end of the road. And not in a good way for them. No, this one, the commies are taking a big old frickin' L. Big old L for the commies out there. You just love to see it, chat. You love to see it. Julie Gonzalez just mauling and seething. Look at her. Oh, yeah. Suck it dry, commie. Suck it dry. Green Cap says, fuck my representatives. Well, at least you don't have to worry about that. And if she's your representative, oh boy, you're a brave man. So what happened? The effort to ban the sale and transfer of so-called assault weapons in Colorado will come to an end Tuesday. So as you can see, this is from May 6th. So it's already happened, at least for this. This is the part, though. Just like Rust, communists never stop. So for now, they stay away at night, mostly. So the main sponsor of the bill is Senator Julie Gonzalez of Denver. And she said that she will ask for it to be voted down in committee. An action in legislative jargon as postponing indefinitely. That means mauled cope seed, take that L, girlfriend. I don't know how to say it in Espanol, but you understand Ingy, so that's all that matters. After thoughtful conversation with my Senate colleagues, I decided that more conversations are needed to take place outside the pressure cooker of the Capitol during the last weeks of the legislative session. I'm sure it wasn't people just saying, fuck you, I'm not doing that. Because that's what it sounds like happened. Fuck you, I ain't doing this. Go fuck yourself. Now, House Bill 24-1292 defined an assault weapon as a semi-automatic rifle with any of a long list of attributes or accessories, though it have also banned pretty much all 50 caliber rifles. Semi-automatic pistols, shotguns with revolving cylinders. Why are they so up? It's like they're afraid of those circuit judges that, that's what they're afraid of. Because, nobody wants a street sweeper or a striker. Those things are really neat, but nobody who shoots one, nobody owns one is like, oh my God, it's my favorite gun to shoot. And semi-automatic shotguns, which, that was like, they were going, if you guys remember, we read through this bill, they went after everything. Charlie says, Rust inhibitor stop Rust. Yes, well, what is a communism inhibitor? Oh, wait. Oh, I don't want to say that. I can't say it the way I want to say it because I got a clip for that, chat. But yes, there is. Oh. It would have allowed you to keep what you own for now. And it passed the House on a pretty easy vote margin. But in the Senate, 8 Democrats joined House Republicans or Senate Republicans in the Colorado Senate from keeping it going any further. It was assigned to be heard, and the Democrats had a 1-vote advantage. One of the more prominent members of the Democratic caucus there has been a prominent voice for stricter gun laws, but he has long been skeptical that an assault weapons ban would have a meaningful impact. And that's impressive, although his idea probably is more like take them all. His idea probably is if, well, people won't turn in their guns, and for a statist like him, this is pretty much their idea of how to handle that. Yes, the statist is also a fan of using helicopters. Keep that in mind, chat. Keep that in mind. The authoritarian statists love helicopters themselves. Other Democrats have realized that this is a thorny policy. And then, yes, just so much malding. The reality of the upper chambers, significant number of folks who don't agree with the policy. Well, it's because they know it's a bad fucking idea. Froelich says she's focused on the enforcement of existing gun laws, which, wow, it's like you might have just figured it out, sweetheart. It's just amazing, like, while they're doing it. Now, here's the malding, though. This is the seething right here, the cope. Meanwhile, opponents of the policy, who believe it would be ineffective and infringe on Second Amendment rights, celebrated the bill's defeat. It's dead. We haven't killed the 2024 AWB, said the Rocky Mountain Gun Owners, which is actually a pretty effective gun rights group. And the group said they made over 65,000 calls and 150,000 emails to oppose the totalitarian measure, which it takes a lot of work, guys. And if you remember, we had on Rob Dorr from the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus and just talking about what is it like to be a lobbyist and do this stuff. And it's a lot of freaking work. I mean, you have to go out and get people off their asses to make 65,000 calls. That's a lot of people. Let's say, just getting, 10% of that to make 65,000 calls. You got to get 6,500 people off their ass. That's still a lot of work. And obviously, they probably did even more. And over 150,000 emails. It's not easy to be an activist. It's not easy to politic. So, yeah, congrats on Colorado for taking care of business. Congrats on Colorado. Take a class from Bronca. Kimbo saying, "How you doing, buddy? Do you need a shoulder to cry on? I know streaming is hard. You kidding me? How is this hard? I've I've hosed shit out of sewers. I may not look like it, guys, but I was a lot skinnier. I've laid asphalt and concrete in the middle of the road, basically dodging traffic for like $8 an hour. And then even worse than just hosing out fucking sewers and, running the sewer truck up to bring like all the turds and all the crap through the city to the treatment plant. They pump it all out into a leach field. And it's all the stuff they've cleaned. So when they're at the water treatment plant, they discharge the water. But all the stuff they have, all the particles, basically poop. They have nothing to do with it. So they pump it out into a big field. They have a big pit. And it dries. And it's clean, it's sanitary, it's been purified. But eventually there's like a ton of it. And eventually you fill up the pit. And what do you have to do? You have to dig the pit up and they pay somebody to come haul it away. Well, I've had to do that where you clean out the pit and literally like powdered shit particles are flying everywhere around. And you've got a respirator on and like you stop for lunch and you blow yourself off with an air compressor and you eat your sandwich, you still feel grit in your teeth. Like, no, this is the easiest fucking job I had. I worked nights at FedEx, like throughout the summers and like, losing, like just drinking water all night long, freezing my balls off outside in the yard working on things, you know, all the different ways I got hurt, finding ticks on me all night long. No, this is the best, I'm not going to say it's like Fury, but this is one of the easy. It's not the best job I've ever had, but it's one of the easiest fucking jobs I've ever had. And it's like it's not even a job. I just enjoy doing it. It's so much fun. So no, I don't need a shoulder to cry on. In fact, I shall take you into my loving embrace. I got some broad shoulders. I can take you into them. So just keep that in mind, Kimbo. Sean has his DJ gig this weekend too. Yeah. Yeah, asphalt is hot work. It is hot. Viva's heading up to Canada to oppose something again. God, I would not. I'm surprised they don't try to fucking arrest him if he goes up to Canada. That stuff is just. Yeah. Kimbo says you don't have to be stoic. It's I'm just like all of you guys. I cry at night too sometimes. Oh. I can't talk about A10 Warthog's main deterrent against others. I don't know why people like the A10. Like, if I was hunting tanks in Czechoslovakia, and a lot of you are gonna say, "You're too fat to fit in it." If I was trying to hunt tanks in Czechoslovakia in, like, 1981, yeah, the A10's my fucking go-to. But nowadays, no. 20 years ago, no. B by 1985, no. It's not meant for the environment that it exists. I've was been a literal shit shoveler. I didn't shovel it, used I didn't even use the backhoe, I just drove the dump truck and dumped it in no bigger pile so somebody could come pick it up, take it away. So what YouTube is the equivalent of a septic field? At times it feels like that. At times it feels like that. Huh. Super fluffy poo. I'm not joking. It was just clouds of it. And you'd close up the windows and shut the vents, and it would still come in. It's like you're hiding from like the fog. Yeah. It was not fun. It was not fun. Bring us up to your teat. Oh, I will take you into my embrace. Nick has tiny shoulders. That's why he can only shoulder tiny problems. Big shoulders mean you could shoulder big problems. But when you put your faith in Jesus, he can shoulder all your problems. The King of Kings. Something to think about out there. Viva's a living version of the Energizer Bunny. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. But I want to see him try to do more drone fishing. He stopped doing that. Sleazy says, PM me your PO box. I got something for you. It should be down below. If you check down below, there should be the PO box, but I'll DM it to you anyway if you don't see it. Just shoot me, remind me so I don't forget. Were we able to take the corn home? No. No. All right. So moving on from there into the state of New York. The state of New York has introduced, looks like they're going to pass a law. It's just been introduced though. And it's racist. It's discriminatory. I think it should not stand. But they are amending the penal law in relation to the regulation of pistol converters and convertible pistols. Now, what does that sound like to you? What does that sound like to you? Well, if you guessed the the favorite pastime of children all across America, you're probably right.
Switchy. No talk. No cat. No talk.
Yes, the Switchy. The state of New York wants to take away the fun experienced by children in inner cities all over America, being the fun police. So they want to add 2 new subdivisions to their penal law. Penal. And it's the part that talks about machine guns. Okay. And machine gun is it's bullets that may be rapidly or automatically discharged from a magazine with one continuous pull of the trigger. Huh. Rapidly. So that means no more bump stocks, and that's not a surprise New York would ban those. But also includes any convertible pistol that is equipped with a pistol converter. And a pistol converter is any device or instrument that, when installed or attached to the slide of a semi-automatic firearm, semi-automatic pistol interferes with the trigger mechanism and thereby enables the pistol To discharge a number of shots or bullets rapidly or automatically with one continuous pull of the trigger. Okay, well, so yeah, it's a switchy. You can't have a switchy in New York, apparently. And convertible pistol means any semi-automatic pistol that can be converted into a machine gun solely by the installation or attachment of a pistol converter. Well, that's apparently even worse, though, than having a gun you modify. Now, what is the problem here? Okay, so if you don't own a switchy, that's fine. You don't sell switchies, not a big deal. Now, what happens, though? Well, this bans people from any person, dealer, firm, partnership, or corporation who disposes of or who transports or ships as merchandise a convertible pistol is guilty of a Class D felony. So what's that mean? You can't sell convertible pistols. And what's a convertible pistol? A pistol that can be converted to a machine gun by attaching a pistol converter. So that means basically all Glocks. The funny thing is, you can, that just means they'll start making switchies for M&Ps and SIGs, which that'll be fucking hilarious. Although with the SIGs, that'd be scary because the SIGs go off on their own anyway. Drop your SIG and it just... That would be fucking scary. So, it doesn't matter if, though, there are exemptions if you're in the military service. Police officers, of course. Persons in the military or the service of the United States, or duly authorized by federal law. Persons employed in fulfilling defense contracts with the government of the United States. Okay. Persons engaged in the business of gunsmith or dealer in firearms to whom a valid license has been issued. Well, I'm sure they're not going to issue a lot of I could sell Glock licenses. So, yeah. They are looking to go after Glocks, which... Interesting. Interesting enough. New York residents should state that their switchy pistol identifies as a semi-automatic. Porcelain Thunder says Commerce Clause, biatch. That's cute. You think that's going to affect a New York court. That's so cute. You're a funny guy. You're a funny guy. It says transports or ships. Could FedEx or UPS be prosecuted? Yeah, but they didn't even go further up the chain to whatever distributor ships it, because all that stuff is sent to a main distributor, and then from there, then it would, whoever's distributing out to the gun stores. Juror 13 says, I come in, the first thing you hear is, I'll take you onto my teat. I never said onto my teat. I said, I'll take you into my embrace and my shoulders. New York does not like tranny guns. Nope. It does not like tranny guns. So 10KU says, I predict a number of residents will report they've lost their guns in a tragic accident. Not true. I mean, really, it's not banning you from owning one if you already own one, and there's already issues with owning guns in New York anyway. So are semi-auto weapons. No, but it makes you wonder if AR-15... Well, you can't have an AR-15 pistol anyway there. But I'm surprised that they don't switch this around to, like, AR-15s, because you could throw in a lightning link, a drop-in auto-sear, and you're good to go. So I'm surprised this wasn't, shoehorned in there. But you know what? I don't want to give him ideas. Nico says, I saw that clip of you on the farms looking things, disapprove. Well, it was taken out of context, but oh well. Oh well. So yes, New York is waging war against Glocks. Oh, you guys are... You guys want... I'm not going to... No, chat. No, people are... I am not going to eat butter tonight. I'm not going to eat butter on a pie. I thought about coming out here with a stick of butter and I'll say, for $10, I won't bite. For $10, I won't eat this for every $10. Just see if you guys would do something. I thought that would be funny. But I forgot about it, which I guess shows you wasn't that funny of a thing. Wasn't that funny of a thing. Although that said, hold on here. Hey, Clyde. I know people want him. Clyde. Clyde. Oi! Clyde, come on. Hi, buddy. Come here. Hey, come here. Chat, he just told all of you to go fuck yourselves. Like, he comes almost all the way in, and he's like 3 feet away from me. He's just like, yeah, and walks back out. So, it's like Richie Aprile when he's on Sopranos. He's like, see, what he just told you is to go fuck yourself. So, never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Now, moving on to further issues with Second Amendment related things is our boy Hunter Biden. So Hunter Biden has his gun case, if you guys remember, over in Delaware because as a prohibited person and being a crackhead, he bought a gun and then, just threw it. It was just thrown away. Well, and I mentioned this before, I don't think he should be charged with this. And the Second Amendment applies to everybody. Personally, I was hoping it was going to take somebody like Hunter Biden to make some changes to the Gun Control Act, and that's basically 18 USC 922G and all the things that are in there, specifically G3. Well, they did attempt that, and as we found out today, looks like it didn't work, chat. Hunter tried the Second Amendment, and it wasn't very effective, sadly. Yes, Hunter got high, which, you know what? That actually might be I don't want to play because an Afro Man, like his company tags it, and then you're kind of boned on getting paid, and it demonetizes your stuff. But here's what Hunter did. So he's been charged with possession of a firearm by a prohibited person and violating 18 USC 922 G3. The two false statement counts under 922A6 and 924A1A. So before the courts, his motion to dismiss the indictment based on the Second Amendment. In particular, he alleges that it's unconstitutional under the decision in Bruin, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin from 2022. Once again, Clarence, Uncle Clarence, if you're out there, thank you. He then alleges that the charges must be dismissed because, as well, his alleged false statements regarding drug use are only illegal if 922G3 is constitutional. So what did she say? Well, she says, denied. So the Second Amendment protects the right of the people to keep and bear arms. The Constitution Amendment 2. And that is actually, for those of you wondering, in a legal document, that's how you cite the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. It's a little goofy, but that is how you can do it. And then you have District Columbia v. Heller from 2008. One of the more shit on Supreme Court decisions by lower courts. We'll leave that alone. That right, however, is not unlimited. Wrong. Instead, the Second Amendment allows for a variety of firearm regulations, including the long-standing prohibitions on the possession of firearms by felons and the mentally ill. The long-standing prohibitions There have been long-standing prohibitions on felons, only 1968. And keep in mind, that's from McDonald, and that was in 2010. So that was almost 15 years ago. And this is from there, saying, we made it clear in Heller our holding did not cast doubt on such long-standing regulatory measures such as prohibitions on firearm possession by felons and the mentally ill. We repeat those assurances here. And that's from McDonald. Well, in Bruin, it kind of said, yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Which is, we repeat those assurances. Clarence is like, fuck your assurances, homie. I don't buy it. So in Bruin, it revisited its jurisprudence, rejecting the two-step framework that courts of appeals had adopted in the years following Heller and McDonald. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. Had courts not been so dickheaded in their ways of trying to fuck with the Second Amendment, Bruin probably wouldn't have happened. Had they adopted all these two steps and they've, all these courts adopting like rational basis or some shitty levels of scrutiny instead of strict scrutiny like they would with most other constitutional issues, Clarence Thomas probably would not have been able to get the firepower necessary to come after them and produce Bruin. So this is really, the left in general, culturally, this is their fault. This is them reaping what they have sown. So the Supreme Court found that the second step, applying a means end scrutiny, had no place in constitutional analysis. Instead, when the Second Amendment's plain text covers an individual's conduct, the Constitution presumptively protects that conduct. Yeah, novel concept. Under Bruin, when a regulation is challenged, a court must ask, 1, does the regulation cover conduct protected by the text of the Second Amendment? And if so, 2, whether the government has shown that the regulation is consistent with the historical tradition of firearm regulation in this country. So, that means that this inquiry searches for a relatively similar firearm regulation that existed at the time of the Second Amendment's adoption. Okay. Well, what does that mean from there? Now, this is the court laying out all of its reasoning. So it's going all the way through it. And they point out, and they use Heller and McDonald talking about two metrics. How and why the regulations burden a law-abiding citizen's right to armed self-defense. And they say, whether the historical and modern regulations impose a comparable burden on the right of armed self-defense, whether that burden is comparably justified, are central considerations when engaging in an inquiry based on whether or not they're analogical. Analogical reasoning requires only the government identify a well-established and historical analog, not a historical twin. So if the modern-day regulation is not a dead ringer, it still may be analogous enough to pass constitutional muster. So they argue that, and now she's addressing what happens here. So Hunter's saying it's unconstitutional under the revised framework announced in Brew because there's no historical precedent for disarming citizens based on their status of having a controlled substance. Because the defendant makes no argument specifically tailored to him or the application of 922G3 to his facts, his challenge to the constitutionality is a facial one. And that's how you address constitutional issues. A facial challenge, the law itself is just bad, or an as applied, meaning applying it to me and my situation is not right. And they're two separate standards, and there's two routes you go. So the facial challenge is really just a claim the law or policy is unconstitutional in all its applications. So, for example, if there was a law tomorrow saying you can enslave people. Nope, that would be a facial challenge. So a facial challenge tests the law's constitutionality based on its text alone and does not consider the facts or circumstances of the particular case, which That is the as applied, the second part. A facial challenge to legislative act is, of course, the most difficult challenge to mount successfully, since the challenger must establish that no set of circumstances exist under the act which would be valid. And that is the hard part of this. It's unconstitutional no matter what. Where are oh um there's a footnote here saying that neither side disputes that the text of the Second Amendment covers the defendant's conduct, which is an interesting way of they're looking at it, but okay. In the wake of Bruin, to defeat a facial challenge on the Second Amendment, all the government must do is identify constitutional applications, even if they are unrelated to the defendant's conduct, using the same text and historical understanding framework. Now, see, this is a problem because now they're running off the reservation. She's now citing something out of the Eighth Circuit. And I don't think Clarence Thomas would agree with that reasoning, but the court only goes so far every time it makes a ruling. Judicial restraint is an actual thing. You don't lay it all out because that's not what you're supposed to do. You give the courts rulings and advice, and then you let them work. And then if they come back, you fix it. Well, that's it. Yes, and they point out to date, no court of appeals has found G3 to be unconstitutional on its face under Bruin. Okay. That doesn't mean it's constitutional. One court of appeals found the opposite. It is facially constitutional after Bruin. Yeah, so she's now citing some shitty court decisions there. For purposes of facial challenge, G3 fits within a traditional historical firearm regulation. Does it really? Because we've never stopped people otherwise. There was never a historical tradition of this. So to do it now is nonsense. And they put out one court of appeals has found 922 G3 unconstitutional as applied to a particular defendant. And that's United States v. Daniels, where he was a habitual marijuana smoker, but there was no proof he was under the influence at the time he had the gun. Well, it's not just for him. That would apply to other people. They say his conviction is inconsistent with our history and tradition of gun regulation. We conclude only by emphasizing the narrowness of the holding. We do not invalidate the statute and all its applications, but importantly, only as applied to Daniels. Well, and I think that's wrong. It should be applied to everybody in his situation or everybody charged in that situation. So they're saying his facial challenge finds no support from the appellate courts. Like I said, I'd love to run this by Clarence Thomas. So I'm sure he would disagree. Now, they do point out the contours of Bruin continue to solidify in district courts and appellate courts across the nation, yet there's no consensus. Yeah. Yeah, which is a bit of an issue. And this is they talk about a Second Circuit case where it says, they're saying a district court committed no plain error in not considering an unraised argument that G3 is unconstitutional because it's not clear under current law. Well, once it gets to the Supreme Court, they'll have to re-clarify it, I guess, because all these courts are full of fucking assholes and retards. But we'll keep going. We'll keep going. They're saying quite a few district courts have addressed G3 in the aftermath of Bruin, with the vast majority upholding its facial constitutionality. Shocker! The government's upholding the government! Wow! Wow! That's like ceiling cat time. Wow! Who would have thought? So she cites from the district in New Mexico. It's facially constitutional. Okay. Out of the district of Kansas, that it's distinctly similar to founding era regulations aimed at preventing intoxicated persons from possessing and using firearms. Yeah, but did they really do anything about it? No, they take your gun and give it back. The Western District of Tejas. Daniel strongly intimates that not only those who are actively intoxicated, but also those who are rendered dangerous or violent by their drug use may be prohibited from possessing firearms without running foul of the Second Amendment. I don't know if that's exactly what they're getting at there, Chief. Certainly they wouldn't take your stuff away and throw you in the jail and prison. They give it back. South Dakota. It's analogous to the Founding Fathers statutes regulating the mentally ill, intoxicated, and lawbreakers for possessing firearms. It did seem like those laws worked. And what happens when they caught you? Oh, well, nothing. They just took your gun away. Okay. Eastern District, Kentucky. Northern District, Iowa, finding all these. The District of Maryland, which I'm surprised for Maryland. It's only one There's only one district in Maryland, but hey. So as pointed out from evident above, the Third Circuit, where Delaware is, has not addressed the constitutionality of G3 under Bruin. In fact, as best this court could tell, no district from within this circuit has addressed constitutionality either. That being said, the foregoing survey of cases demonstrates the current state of the law on the facial constitutionality is decidedly not in the defendant's favor. No appellate court has agreed with this position, and possibly only one district court found it unconstitutional on its face, which is a based court. This court ultimately sides with the great majority of the cases upholding the facial constitutionality of G3. And they go on to say in the footnote, only a handful have come out the other way, finding that G3 is unconstitutional, usually on an as-applied basis. So they talk about out of the Eastern District of North Carolina, the Western District of Texas. And it's funny because in North Carolina, they're like, oh, it was a facial challenge. And the rest of these were as-applied. But you point out there's a lot going on there. And she's like, well, that's different. And because this court finds persuasive, it adopts the Eighth Circuit's holding. And remember, it's persuasive. Courts can adopt other courts' reasonings. And they talk about their analysis of it. So in Veasley, the Eighth Circuit undertook a careful analysis of the recording of regulating firearm possession by mentally ill and dangerous persons, ultimately concluding that G3 is consistent with historical tradition. Beginning with the country's history of regulating intoxicating substances. You mean like alcohol through taxation? That was really the only regulation on alcohol. Reviewing regulations that ban the use of firearms while drinking. Okay. And detailing various laws permitting the confinement of mentally ill people. Okay. Focusing on confinement, Veasley explained how in the 18th century, mental illness was viewed as a transitory condition, and those deemed dangerous were confined and restrained, often at the sole discretion of justice of the peace. Oh, yes. So that's the best part of this. We're going back. We're supporting this based on laws that were done without due process. Yes. Government officials could violate your rights. Well, that means we can still do it today. That confinement did not include access to guns. Well, no shit. That's like saying, well, guys in jail couldn't have guns. Yeah, they also can't have keys to get out. This is the most retarded logic ever. It's absolutely fucking moronic. Holy Jesus. I mean, listen to that. Well, because your confinement when you're in jail, you can't have guns. It's the most Reddit tier argument ever. Well, actually... But we'll keep going. As the problem grew without any dedicated place for mentally ill, an early solution was simply jail them. But soon mental hospitals started to proliferate in the colonies beginning in the mid 1700s. Again, as the court emphasized, confinement led to the loss of liberties and gun rights were no exception. Okay. By the late 1800s, states started to permit prosecution of individuals who provided firearms to mentally ill people. Okay. Yes, if you guys said, I hear the voices. Well, here's a gun, buddy. That's not what's at stake here. So once again, notice they're harping on crazy people and dangerous people. What about drug users? What about drug users? What about the guy who sits there smoking opium all day long, tripping balls? In Veasley's court view, G3 was thus analogous to the historical tradition confining and thereby disarming mentally ill persons. Really? Drug users are mentally ill? That's what we're going with now? That's what we're going with now? The burden posed by 922G3 is comparable, if less heavy-handed, than the founding eras governing the mentally ill. It goes without saying that confinement with straitjackets and chains carries with it a greater loss of liberty than a temporary loss of gun rights. And the mentally ill had less of a chance to regain their rights than drug users and addicts do today. Oh, because, well, we don't fuck you as hard as they used to. It's okay. Stopping the use of drugs, after all, restores the gun rights under 922G3. That's not accurate. That is not accurate. That is not accurate at all. There is no clearly defined line that shows you're no longer prohibited under G3. That is not, I mean, because the text of G3. Anyone who's an unlawful user or addicted to any controlled substance. I mean, once an addict, always an addict. All addicts are in recovery. And every addict is always, you're never done being an addict. So how's that going to work? You know, for example, in Ohio, if you're addicted to alcohol, you can't own a firearm. You're having a weapon or disability. Well, when are you cured of your alcoholism? Never. You're never cured of alcoholism. It's something you keep at bay and you can manage, but you're never cured. So how does that work? They say this, and it's like, I don't think you understand what that means. Because what you're saying doesn't actually happen. It doesn't happen. So, the justification, which is to keep guns out of the hands of presumptively risky people, is also comparable. It is reflected in colonial era laws, whether it be disarming loyalists or making sure the mentally ill could not harm themselves or others. At least as applied to drug users and addicts who pose a danger to others, 922G3 is just another example of this long-standing tradition. Yes, and that's the funny part. They have to use this. Well, we disarmed all kinds of people. All kinds of people we thought were dangerous. Yeah. Well, blacks and Indians, we're disarming them all because they're dangerous. We're disarming loyalists because they're dangerous. Those laws are fucking unconstitutional. Well, but that's all we have to rely on, so... Look at it. They're literally using unconstitutional laws to support their theory today. As such, G3 survived Bruin. Well, yes, because no court's going to say, yeah, go ahead and do drugs and have guns. No court's going to be the court said because they're all pussies. They won't do what's right. Our founding fathers were risky people. Oh, they were really fucking risky. Elegant News says, don't go to AA in Ohio if you want to keep your Second Amendment rights. I wouldn't go that far, but yeah. I understand what you're getting there. Women lose the vote too, yeah. What are you guys, hold on, what are you guys talking about here? All right, well, we're going to keep going here. So, Beasley's not on its reasoning. Various courts have upheld the constitutionality and found the regulation of firearm possession by the mentally ill to be a relevant historical analog under the Bruin framework. They struggling out of the Northern District of Florida, out of the Northern District of Illinois. Just this garbage. So, they go on further, though, to cite that Hunter attempts to blur the lines between facial and as applied constitutional challenges, which it's very easy to do when you're making the arguments if you're not paying attention. An as applied attack, in contrast, a facial one does not contend the law is unconstitutional as written, but its application to a particular person under the circumstances deprive that person of their rights. As previously noted, the defendant makes no arguments tailored to a situation here. Instead, he generically asserts he should be allowed to raise an as-applied challenge at some point. In any event, because of the likely need for factual findings, such a challenge would be ill-suited to resolution on a motion to dismiss before trial. And they talk about all the issues here that you may raise by pretrial motion any defense, objection, or request the court can determine without a trial on the merits. Well, and that's the problem, because Hunter is trying to raise something which you would need to have the trial to do anyway, because the judge doesn't know how it's being applied. And that's because if you're requiring consideration of contested facts, they're the very facts a court may not consider before trial. So that's why a lot of times people are like, oh, I want my attorney to dismiss the case, and they can't. Because your motion to dismiss is trying to argue the facts and the court doesn't want to hear it yet. So as such, to the extent the defendant seeks to raise a challenge, that request is denied without prejudice to renew on an appropriate trial record. So he gets the chance later after he's gone to trial. So after his trial is over, he can do it. So he's not being told no forever, just it's too early. Once the trial evidence is in, he may review his motion. And until then, his challenge should be held in abeyance or denied without prejudice. Meaning we'll hold off on it. Now, he argues finally that his false statement and false record charges should fall to the wayside if G3 is unconstitutional. The defendant has no independent challenge to the constitutionality of these statutes. Because the court has found that G3 is not constitutional, the charges there will not be dismissed. Therefore, his entire motion to dismiss is denied, which I actually don't agree with. It should be granted. He should be it should be granted. I mean, he's going to be the one we deal with. So where are we at with you guys and what you're looking at here? So we got some Sweet Tooth says, every time I hear you say, go fuck yourself, I think about the short you did about that CUNT cop, and I just start laughing. Oh, yeah. When Nurse Ratched has a badge. Yeah. Yeah. That one who's got her hair glued onto her head. MLS Got a Law says, well, the government can regulate my driver's license. Therefore, they can regulate absolutely everything else. Pretty much. Yeah. And good to see you, David. Hope you're doing well. Otto says, if I fly out of the country now, customs all facial recognition now. Fucking sucks. The government has your face. Well, that's why you got to go outside the country and have them take your face off. Juror 13 says, so trans people can't own guns. Big brain thinking there. Big brain thinking. And a helping hound. I don't think I've seen you around before, but thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Suspicious persons sound like the ones named in the 1850 Compromise. Yep. And that was the funny part in California when the California DOJ was challenged by one of the courts, I believe it was by Judge Benitez. He said, well, come up with a list of laws that support all this. And the California DOJ had to say, well, basically all the laws we could find supporting gun control are racist ones. And yeah, they still thought there was nothing wrong with that. Well, we don't allow colored folk to own guns. Like, do you think that's a valid justification? Well, the government passed a law, so yeah, it's exactly just like that. So yes, that is not an uncommon argument from the government, that they will embrace those types of things. Right. Did I miss the belt strangling? Not yet. That's coming up. That's coming up. Mother of papillons. Are you like papillons like the dog or the butterfly? I mean, I know it's the dog there, but you guys remember, old viewers of the show, the OGs. Remember, we had started out with the old G dogs, Baxter and Molly the Papillon. Sadly, she's no longer with us, but yeah, looks a lot like her, except she wasn't brown. Said, can we please get a stay? They're staying Trump's case and Fanny's case for the moment. String this Hunter thing out. Well, yeah. No, it's not. But moving on, that's actually a really good segue. Funny you mentioned that. Because we have a very, very, very good segue at this point. And that is in President Trump's case down in Florida. La Floride, as you might say. Well, there has been a big holdup that has gone on. Now, what has happened? Well, Judge Cannon has basically postponed the case for now. She has removed the trial date. And why? Well, there was a big, well, it depends on how big you want to say it. But you could see, and this just tells you how important it is when people on MSNBC are saying, what Judge Cannon doing is a scandal. When judges don't act in good faith, they weaponize the judiciary. Well, they're mad about it. Why? Well, the DOJ, and we'll get to this picture here. You guys have probably seen this picture. If you guys have never seen this picture before, this is the picture of the FBI at Mar-a-Lago. They're like, look at all the documents we found. Oh my God. You guys remember this, right? And they're like, look, everything here is secret. And then they're like, look, oh my God, Trump knew because it had these things there. He had to have known these were secrets. All of it. It's all the bad man. He's so orange. Look, the orange man couldn't even see the orange things on the ground. These are all just thrown about. You guys remember this picture, right? That's a picture the FBI took and released. Well, the FBI agents who did this raid should all be tried and jailed. Or you could just drop a JDAM on the FBI building and just let God sort it out. I like that idea a lot more. I'll let them shoot dice with the fates. That'll be fun. And Keopathic, this is the very interesting thing. Yes, all that top secret / SCI means secured, compartmentalized information. So that's the highest level of secret and top secret is secure compartmentalized information. That's the stuff you can look at control rooms, and the FBI releasing that. Yeah, you can't really. The fact you released this picture is also a violation of protocols because, okay, you put this thing here. That's not a proper redaction. I'm sure if you ask people who teach national security practices and then the military guys who teach their underlings to run skiffs would have fucking heart attacks thinking this is a valid redaction because whoever generated the classified material in here probably didn't approve this. So that's an invalid classification. Now, the military peeps out there, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, that's a problem in and of itself. So you don't write secret on things unless you are a retard. Well, no. I mean, like the documents, no, that's not no, that's stamped. Right there, that secret, those are stamped. It's like secret, no foreign, eyes only. That's all. That's actually normal for classification stuff. So, Alan says you go to jail. Yeah. Peyton says Waco style in the Hoover building. No. I'm talking about like literally like we watch those videos of like mud huts in Afghanistan, like a 2,000-pound JDAM just swoosh. No, that's what I'm talking about. Or like, you know, like if the Russians are launching a Kinzhal hypersonic missile and it accidentally goes off course and like over the horizon and just boop, just hits the Hoover building. No, I ain't gonna be mad. I'll mail those guys a bag of cupcakes. Yeah, no photos are allowed. Yeah, and Flux, I know you're in the military. Ron, I know you're in the military. I'm sure you guys would shit bricks if you saw like if this happened in your chains of command. Yes, you can't have your own servers. You have an idiot every year about what you can't do. Yeah, there are specific rules of this stuff. I'm gonna get a knock at the door. Why? Saying I hope your building gets reduced to rubble. Hope an asteroid strikes it. You're threatening it. You're threatening the space to attack us. Yes. Yes. I mean, in Minecraft? No, in real life. In real life. I don't know why hoping the Russians nuke the Hoover building is illegal, but whatever. And they're not afraid because they know Trump already declassified it. Well, that's 100%. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you because it's not illegal now. Oh, so what happened? So this happened back at the beginning, and now we know something. So the FBI and the special counsel had to respond to some things by Waltine Nada, Trump's assistant, one of the guys accused of moving the boxes and being a bad man with the orange man. So his attorney brought up there were a bunch of problems. And what are the problems? Well, we're going to get to them here. Okay? So one of the biggest problems in this is the discovery of the documents. These documents were found mixed in with other documents in boxes. Okay. So first, NADA, but also Trump is going to claim they cannot make the required disclosures without knowing for certain which documents provided in classified discovery were recovered from boxes in the storage room and where those documents were found in the boxes. But it's a big deal because Walt Nada is accused of moving the boxes after they were told don't move the boxes. Well, I have to know which boxes I moved to figure out if I have a defense. And I have to know where were these documents in these boxes? Well, we're not going to tell you. What box were they in? Well, we're not going to tell you that either. Well, how the hell do I know what's going on? How can you defend yourself? And that's where it's like, that's where you're wrong, kiddo. You're not supposed to, is what the FBI is going to say. So this gets good. So they claim both claims are flawed. Premise of the first, that Nut has not been informed which documents came from storage room boxes is inaccurate. Okay. He was provided with that information months ago. The exclusion the second, he needs to know where the documents were within each box in order to make his disclosures is recently manufactured and not credible. Well, we'll get to that part because, yeah, they're talking a lot of shit now. So here we go. Here we go. So the background, and this is where we get to the search at Mar-a-Lago. The home of the Golden Throne, the Emperor's Golden Throne. The high palace on Terra. So they talk about how they didn't inspect these documents. Well, it's because they didn't realize there was a problem. So, and they point out, although the government made all 27 boxes available, council elected to review only 8 of them. Okay. To facilitate review, the government provided as a courtesy a chart listing for all documents with classifications marking seized at Mar-a-Lago, the room in which the document was found, including box number if applicable. The beginning Bates number in classified discovery, and Bates stamps are, it's Bates stamping is an actual, like, I forgot, I think I brought this up before. It's an old school numbering. It started out as a, like, this thing is, these have been around forever, and it's a marking and documenting thing. And like, this is how far back Bates machine, like Bates stamps go. Because literally it was a stamp, Bates automatic numbering machine. You just ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. And it allowed you to do stuff. And it would just keep changing numbers for you. You know, and it was used, it was, part of it was initially meant for general office and factory use as part of industrialization. But then it also became important in legal fields. So it's an actual thing that actually exists, a Bates stamp. And you find them all the time now. And the way you'd see it in Discovery, it'll say, like, down here at the bottom, all this stuff you see right here, you would see down here at the bottom, and this like little printed out like black little characters. And it'd be right at the bottom of every page, and you'd be able to track stuff. So the index code assigned by the FBI, 3, and then 3 again, the number of copies of the document found, and 4, the classification marks in the document, and if applicable, this corresponding indictment count. This is but the most in a long line of accommodation. So the government's trying to help out. Now, on April 10th, the date the court set this deadline, he said, we need more time. Okay, and he's like, I got other shit going on. It's not a big deal. But there became the issues about what actually are we looking at here. And he said there's difficulty in cross-referencing materials in classified and unclassified discovery. In particular, that certain items in the seized boxes reviewed were in a different order from where they appear in the scans of boxes produced in discovery. But neither at the time of the review did he raise any issues. Well, maybe he didn't realize it. So what happened here? Well, stuff's not matching up. And we'll explain why the scan, we're going to get to what these scans are, because those scans of the boxes bring up a whole nother issue. So here we go. So during the August 8th search, the government deployed a filter team to search before the investigative team performed their search. And the filter team, they cover all the different things that Trump may have that are, they're supposedly FBI agents that aren't working with the investigative team. So they're looking for like his private documents, business documents, attorney-client documents, spousal documents, things that actually are things that they aren't looking for that might be declassified, all the things that are privileged. They're removing all of that. And they're going to say, oh, we found all the shit we think is applicable. Here you go, guys. So the filter team took care to ensure that no documents were moved from one box to another. Are you sure? They took care, but what is that? What does taking care mean? That's not really well defined. That's a chain of custody issue. But it was not focused on maintaining the sequence of the documents in each box. Then how the fuck do you know that they went back in the right box if you're not sure it went in the same spot? Well, I don't know where to come out of this box. Well, I don't know. Are you sure that's the right box? How do you know? You don't know. You don't know. It doesn't work like that, chat. It doesn't work that way. Well, I don't know where this came from in this box. Well, how do you know which box it came out of then? So if the box contained potentially privileged material and fell within the scope of the search warrant, the filter team seized the box for a later closer review. If the box did not contain privileged documents, the filter team provided the box to the investigative team for on-site review. And if the investigative team found a document with classification markings, it removed the document, segregated it, and replaced it with a placeholder sheet. The investigative team used classified cover sheets for that purpose. So all of these things right here, all of these things are right here, 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 and here, and down here, it looks like. And then up here. Hold on, chat, 1 second. Hold on, chat. What did I... In the St. Trump's case? Oh, I had it switched over still. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, chat. Okay, sorry. Sorry, we'll start here. The filter team took care to ensure no documents from one box to the other. But it didn't matter about the sequence. But if you don't know the sequence, how do you know what box you're in? How do you know what box you're in? Well, I don't know where it came from. Well, I'm pretty sure it was this box. How do you know? You didn't keep track of where it came from. So how do you know that's the right box? If I move that box and you can't tell me it came from that box, that's a big problem. It wasn't the way you found it. That's part of how evidences work. Is this in the same substantially similar condition as when you found it? You notice, you know what the answer you never hear in these trials that we watch are? No. Because then that means this has been adulterated. There's something wrong with it. It's not the evidence anymore. Sorry, guys. I was trying to switch through here. Okay. We're still screen sharing Hunter's last case. I'm sorry. We're fixed. We're fixed. Well, we're getting to all this stuff here. So the filter team provided the box and the investigative team. If they found classified documents, they removed it, segregated, and replaced it with a placeholder sheet. They used classified cover sheets for that purpose. Okay. So that means all of these red dots, all this stuff you see, is actually what the FBI did. Because remember when we saw this looked really bad. I'm like, oh my God, how did they, they just took, they didn't even, it's like, that's meant to be this way. Oh, they didn't give a fuck, chat. They just took whatever they wanted. That's what this was. That's what these were. This was all an op. Because the FBI released this photo. They intended it to have an effect. And it had that effect on people. Those aren't the documents. This is a manufactured exhibit. I mean, these things here, too, are problems, I would argue. Not only because of all that, all the document stuff we mentioned earlier, but this is not what it looked like. It's not what it looked like. Basically, they bought props. Jarex, that's why I should have a second monitor. Dude, I'm telling you, I get like fucking spurgy and just start reading. The house could catch on fire around me. It would not matter. So then they point out the FBI ran out because there were so many classified documents. They began using blank sheets with handwritten notes, indicating the classification level. The investigative team seized any box that was found to contain documents with classification markings or presidential records. Okay. After the boxes were seized, they were stored overnight at the FBI field office in Miami and flown back to D.C. the next day. Really? You couldn't take them back the next day? You're the fucking FBI. A DC-based filter team reviewed any boxes potentially containing privileged materials and provided the contents to the investigative team on a rolling basis as the filter team resolved any privilege issues. So they went and reviewed it again. The documents with classification markings were secured in areas approved for their storage. And since then, the boxes have been stored at 2 Washington field office locations that could only be accessed by individuals assigned to the case. I hope you have an evidence log. After the boxes were brought to Washington, FBI created an index to correlate the documents, saying like document BB, okay, and labeled the classified cover sheets in the boxes with the codes for the seized documents. The FBI also generally replaced the handwritten sheets with classified cover sheets annotated with the index code. But regardless, and notice generally, what's generally mean? Generally is a weasel word. Generally is a bullshit word lawyers will use. Your Honor, he's generally complied with probation, meaning, well, he hasn't fully complied. Not always. Generally, well, most of the time. What does most of the time mean? What does generally mean? They complied. And they removed the handwritten sheets and replaced it with the proper thing. Okay. But regardless, any handwritten sheets that currently remain in the boxes do not represent additional classified documents. How do you know that? If you put the sheet in, we took a document out, we put a sheet in. And then we would replace that sheet. Okay. But if we didn't replace the sheet, well, that doesn't mean anything. Well, yeah, it means this well, who says? Well, we generally replaced them, but that also means nothing else ever bad happened. How does that work? How does that work? That's brilliant. That's, when people talk about shitbag lawyering, this is some shitbag lawyering right here. Even Saul Goodman's going to be like, damn, respect to the game. But they were just not removed when the cover sheets with the index codes were added. How do you know? Generally. And then in many, but not all instances, once again, you want some bullshit lawyering words, guys. That's some bullshit lawyering words here. Fuck, and I didn't switch it over. Fuck. Yes. There you go. We're back. I didn't get too far, chat. So the FBI stored him overnight, and then they moved him down. So they classified the sheets, and they generally replaced the handwritten sheets. Well, they generally did. Remember, guys, generally is a bullshit word. And then many but not all instances, the FBI was able to determine which document with classification markings corresponded to a particular placeholder sheet. you know, we got to do something here because we got a problem, chat. And once again, this just might be because if you ask the FBI, they're going to be like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's just some shitbag attorney in Ohio. They're going to be like, because here's the thing. So here's the issue. So the FBI also generally replaced the handwritten sheets with cover sheets. Okay. But if there's any in there, that doesn't mean anything. But then they also say, in many but all instances, the FBI was able to determine which document with classification markings corresponded to the placeholder sheet. So they're saying on one hand, and notice how they do this. They hand wave. And they'll tell you, well, don't worry about this. Because they take these two sentences and split them in half. Notice what's above the line. The FBI generally replaced the handwritten sheets. But regardless, any sheets that remain do not represent additional classified documents. And then the next sentence. In many but not all instances, the FBI was able to determine which document with classification markings corresponded to a particular placeholder set. So how does that work? Tell me, chat. Tell me. Like I said, I'm some dumb schmucky lawyer in Ohio. You know, I didn't go to Harvard or wherever the fuck these idiots went to. I don't know how you reconcile those two claims. I don't know how you reconcile these two. You literally have two separate actions you're claiming happened. Up here, you're claiming something. And then down here, you're claiming something else. Oh, don't worry if you find a handwritten sheet in there. That doesn't mean anything. We generally figured it out. And then in the next sentence, you'll say, well, most of the time, well, in many but not all instances, we kind of figured out what was going on. So they say, don't worry about it. But then they say in the next sentence, well, we kind of fucked this up because we're just yanking papers out. Oh, we couldn't match things up. Gee, I wonder if you made sure they went in the right order. You probably have better evidence control. Just a thought. Just a thought here. When you're fucking with evidence, keep it the way you found it. Instead, they just like, oh, we're pulling all the documents. Well, do they go back in? Fuck it. We'll make it work. Good enough for government work. Well, yeah, this is good enough for government work right here. Well, we kind of can't actually make sure things match up anymore. So the evidence is completely contaminated. How do you know these boxes are accurate anymore? Well, we don't actually know. Motion to dismiss. That's how that should be handled. Boom, done. The FBI is clairvoyant, yeah. Yeah, we did a thing, yes. No, take it's like you read that right. Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I just want to make sure I'm not misstating it. You know, and there's far smarter attorneys out there than me, and I just haven't heard. Yeah, I read this, and I'm not gonna lie. I reached out to Robert Gavea, and I'm like, I know you probably covered this already. Am I wrong? And he's like, no. I mean, I did a lot of reading. I reread this. I listened to the people on law Twitter who are like Orange Man bad and are pissing their pants over what Judge Cannon's done. But no, this Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah, this is yeah, this is a massive problem because the entire part of this case, there's there's nothing here. Like, imagine if this was a drug case. Well, we think this drugs went in this container, but also a bunch of containers may not have had drugs in them. Well, what containers did they come in? I don't know. What drugs were they? Well, we're not sure about which drugs were in either. We don't know which containers had drugs and then which drugs are in each container. How do I do anything with that? How would you do anything with that? You can't. You literally fucking can't. So we need to keep going here though, chat, because we got other stuff to look at. We got other stuff to look at. So okay. So the government has taken steps to ensure the documents and placeholders remain in the same box and they were seized. To prevent any movement of documents from one box to another. How sure are you when you tell me we're not actually sure if this stuff is right? Now, once again, we go from sentence 1 to sentence 2, then to the next sentence, sentence 3. We're just the FBI is walking it all the way back. As they talk, they just keep walking backwards. So the FBI was present when an outside vendor scanned the documents with a now closed civil case. And this is the Trump v. United States. This is when he tried to get his documents back, requiring the government to inventory the property seized at Mar-a-Lago. Requiring the government to make available to plaintiff and the special master all copies of seized materials in electronic format. And the boxes were kept separate during that process. Were you? Were they really? How do we know? And here's the thing, an outside vendor, so a third party. Now we've got another chain of custody issue, because remember, they talked about those scans. The scans aren't matching. Well, did the FBI fuck up the scan order? Or did the outside vendor fuck up the scan order? Does the outside vendor even know? Now we've got chain of custody issues, and we have an outside party interfering in the chain of custody? How do you keep track of this? You can't. So when the FBI created the inventories, each inventory team worked on a single box at a time, separated from the other teams. Yeah, but we heard about all the problems at the beginning with the filter team and the investigative team. So are we sure? Are we sure? I don't know. I don't know. And during defense counsel review, any boxes open at the same time were kept separate from one another. Oh, I'm sure they made sure of that. In other words, there is a clear record of which boxes contain classified documents when seized. And this information, are we sure? Are we sure? Because you can't even tell me if those documents match up with the cover sheets. So how sure are you? Because, yeah, once the defense, like whatever order they're in now, they're in, great. But what order were they in back then? The moment they were found, and you can't attest to that. Is this the same and substantially similar conditions when you found it? No, it's not. So since the boxes were seized and stored, appropriate personnel have had access to the boxes. Are we sure? Okay, well. So the inventories and scans created during the civil proceedings were later produced in discovery in this case. Because these scans were created close in time to the seizure of the documents, they're the best evidence available to the order documents when in seized. Based on what? You already admitted there was no way to check the order. You didn't care to check the order. How do we know they checked the order? And now you're admitting, yeah, none of it matches. How are once again, guys? I actually I spent time thinking about this. Yeah, but this is so much bigger in due process. Oh, I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. There's more to this than that. But just at a base level, the basic level of think about if this was any other case. Think if this was a drug case or some guy getting caught with a gun. Like you have a client, he gets a concealed weapons charge. Well, what happened to the gun? Oh, we kind of fucked around with it. We kind of fucked around with it. It's the same thing now. Um, this is it's just not good. It's just not good. I mean, I don't understand. Like I said, there are a million layers to it, but just start on that layer. Start on that layer, and you have all kinds of problems. Okay, you have all kinds of problems. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Damn, where'd that thing go? So that they say there are some boxes where the ordered items within that box are not the same as in the associated scans. And they point out the government acknowledges this is inconsistent with what government counsel previously understood and represented to the court. Now, that's how the attorneys involved in this are covering their ass. Well, Your Honor, somebody else told me differently. I understood it as something else. My bad. You should be mad at Bob. You know, actually, Agent Neerman, Agent Joe Neerman, he was over there. He's the reason behind it, Your Honor. We asked him and he told us, I mean, I can't check their work. You know, he's out when he's not scanning boxes, he's out digging tunnels. Judge, what do you want me to do? You know, they pointed out the boxes are in their original form intact. They are, with one exception, is that the classified documents have been removed and placeholders have been put in. So there are some boxes where the order of items are not the same as the scans. So, like I brought up, well, now you've got the problem. How does that work? Where did the mix-ups? What happened? You don't know. But no, it's all good here. Everything is good, guys. Trust us. It's the best evidence. Except when it's not. Except when it's not. There are several possible explanations. Well, no. Don't give me possibly. Tell me why exactly each issue. Including the above described instances of a box or access, as well as the size and shape of certain items in the boxes leading to the movement of items. For example, the boxes contain items smaller than standard paper, such as index cards, books, and stationery, which shift easily when the boxes are carried. God, you know the funny thing is, if I ever became president, there'd be like fucking classified sticky notes. I like sticky notes. Be fucking post-it notes with like nuclear missile attack plans on them and shit. Because so many of these boxes are not full. Regardless of the explanation, as discussed below, where precisely within a box classified documents were stored at Mar-a-Lago does not bear in any way on their ability to file notices. But you've already established there's problems. So yes. So him and his counsel have acknowledged they have access to boxes in 3 formats: the actual boxes, the scans of the documents, and the documents with the markings. Okay. The government produces scans of the boxes from Mar-a-Lago, which indicate from which box that item was retrieved. How do you know? How do you know? And include cover sheets indicating by FBI index code which documents were in the box. Once again, how do you know? Because you didn't put them in the right order. How do you know they came from the box? Nada has had all this information, and they argue he shouldn't get a continuance. So they argue that he doesn't need to know the internal box document sequencing. And they go through all of this, and they point out that his motions for continuance and extending things should be denied. Screen grabs on an Instagram page. Yes, the chain of custody issues in here are massive. Like I said, guys, this is you have to go and McMaster, you were right. There is an issue. There's so much bigger issues, but you got the building blocks is where I'm starting. This is so bad. Start on the layer of the new president prosecuting the old president. Yeah, but you are like layers above that. I'm down. Joe helped me dig to the bottom of the foundation, and I'm inspecting the cornerstones of this. Joe came down and helped me dig a hole. Joe helped me dig a hole. I'd be the first president to declare war via post-it note. I would. Sean would put the new codes written on a sticky note under my keyboard. Okay, no, I'm not that basic, but I'd have all kinds of stuff on sticky notes. There'd be like little tabs poking out everywhere. I love doing that stuff. The problem is when you're on your own, that costs money, so I have to really limit what you can do. I highlight instead now. But if I had access to the White House budget, oh my God, there'd be like, I'd have a guy with the football, and then I'd have a guy with a pack of Post-it notes and tabs just ready to go. 10K says, you have trouble with mic, sounds, and screen sharing. The sound stuff I still don't understand because I don't have problems with that. And since that motion, there's been a lot of activity on the docket. A lot of activity. So in that, there was and we're going to switch over to the Pacer docket. 522, this is the response to the USA. This is what we just read. So immediately on the 6th, there's a motion to leave to file a surreply based on newly discovered violations, misrepresentations, meaning lies, and potential spoliation of evidence. And spoliation of evidence is when you ruin it and you ruin the integrity of the evidence. If there's a chain of custody issue, that's spoliation of the evidence. Just like if there was a body cam and that gets deleted, the evidence has been spoliated, it's been spoiled, it's been adulterated. So they asked for it, and they have a surreply that's on or before May 7th. So they filed a surreply. And this is where things get good. I love you, chat. I'm spending 60 cents for you guys. because I love you that much. So this is President Trump's reply. And they talk about in the background of all of this. And they just unload. And using a dismissive and condescending tone. Is this showing up okay for you guys to read? Yes. Toto Vader says, don't lie, you can expense that. Not at the same level. Not at the same level I could. And at the volume necessary. Relating to these issues raised by Waltine Nada, the office admitted there are some boxes where the order of the items is not the same as the scans. The office then says and admits it's inconsistent with what they already represented to the court. And they point out that the office has repeatedly, from day one, provided full-throated, I'm sure Jack Smith is full-throated, but now concededly false allegations of compliance with discovery. Now, they point out that, for example, the office indicated first time the filter team was not focused on maintaining the sequence of the documents. That's new. That concession alone implicates that every box as well as the scans. And they point out now the best evidence is the scans prepared by an outside vendor in connection with a civil case that lacked all the safeguards that criminal discovery has. And there is. Criminal discovery is provided in a way that nothing else is. There is a difference. Trump's team comes out and they keep hitting harder. The cover sheets that they use as replacements. The special counsel wrote that the FBI generally had replaced them with the codes. But they also didn't explain why they cannot offer a precise categorical representation. Remember, generally. Well, as opposed to specifically. And they can't. And then many but not all instances, the FBI was able to determine which markings correspond to which sheets. And then they point out that even if the scans are the best available, they're not reliable, the contents. Like I said, well, it's the best evidence, but you admitted you don't have these in the right order. So how's it the best evidence? It's the best evidence of an adulterated thing, sure. But those scans are not a true and accurate representation of when you found them. No. Those boxes are not in the same condition. Is it a true and accurate representation of when you found them? Nope. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Total Vader don't like it expensive. Yeah, I would. I do expense the Pacer stuff, but Nicholas Kreuzer for $1. Thank you. Oh my gosh, you guys. And real quick, Stephen Cooper says for $2, Moab or Mop on the Hoover Building. Oh, I want tomahawks. Unknown Hero for $2 says, "Oh, I'm gonna come." Well, don't come yet. Nicholas Kreuzer for $10 says the FBI should be the federal botany innovators. They're the best at planting everything. Yes, they are. Let's go. Brandon for $4.99 says some shitbag attorney from New York spit from inside the wire in New Jersey filed papers. Sean, where you at? Like I said, there are better. Like I said, I'm not the smartest bear in the woods. I've never denied that. And Joe's a smart man. Janet says you paid it forward to chat with the 60 cents. Chad blesses you with $5. Janet, I'm just fucking with you guys. 10K view for $13.99. 13 loonies. 99 100ths of another loony. Money towards more documents, Sean. Thank you. Amateur Iconoclast says all the documents. Thank you. And Garrett Pace has been a member for 10 months, says more documents, Janelle. More. Yes. Oh. 10K view says Janet Super Chat's probably worth more than my Canadian bucks. Aw. I don't know. I think it's probably worth more. Probably. And then 10K view says, I love this chat. Yes, I love you guys. You guys are great. I don't care. I don't care what Joe says about you all. Mercatus turned into an emote on Kino Casino. Well, that's pretty good. Helping Hound says actual tomahawks are more fasky. Oh, no. I'm talking about like the Glickums, like the BGM 109s, like when we used to have those. If you want to read about something cool in the Cold War, Google the ground-launched cruise missiles, the Glickums. Scared the shit out of the Russians. Brought them to the table and signed the INF treaty. J-Rock's been a member for 8 months. More! Yes. All right, well, let's get back to this, guys, because we're going through these. The not all caveat is, however, consistent with the recent and inexplicable disclosure. The filter team was not focused on the order of the documents in the boxes. So President Trump sent a letter with discovery request, which is attached to Exhibit A. The office responded on May 9th, and that's special counsel's office, indicating they continue to pose a request for an adjournment of the May deadlines, notwithstanding the recent disclosures. And then Trump's also busy listening to that worn-out, slatternly whore of a human being, Stormy Daniels. I mean, remember, guys, in the New York case, Alvin Bragg has pinned his hopes on a worn-out whore. A worn-out whore. I guess. And yes, it's interesting that after 11 months, we only find out these things have been fucked with. So, President Trump's team had relied on the scans and believed the location of the documents within the boxes were exculpatory, meaning we thought these were correct. And it was our understanding that most and potentially all of the documents were buried within the boxes and located next to other items that provided favorable context regarding when the document was placed in a box. Yeah, so like we were basing our defense strategy on the way the evidence was presented. I mean, think about it. If I had a client and there's evidence of police, I get evidence from the prosecutor. Here's all the stuff. I start preparing a defense. Now I find out, well, that's not actually how that was all found. We messed with it all. How the fuck do I plan? And it never occurred to us until last Friday the prosecution cannot be trusted to perform the basic tasks to maintain the integrity of such evidence, despite their expansive resources. Yes, they're the FBI. They can literally do whatever they want. That's why Trump didn't inspect the boxes. It's like, we didn't think you would fuck up this bad. Although, I'm not going to lie, if I was Trump's team, I would have checked all those fucking boxes from the start. But still, we knew our expectations were low, but holy shit, you guys really underdelivered. So under Brady, they have an obligation to promptly make disclosures regarding the failure to maintain the documents within the sequence. And Kyle's v. Whitley. Yes, this is part of my discovery demand that I put when I send one out. I want everything under Brady, under Bagley, under Kyle's. I want all of that. It shows the investigation's shoddy. And these issues implicate the motions to suppress. Because now they fucked it up. Well, you're suppressing spoiled evidence. He wouldn't have known about that now. The government hid that. Or maybe they didn't know, and that's even scarier. In reality, they knew. They just didn't give a shit. More after these disclosures, likely Trump will file additional motions for sanctions and a motion to dismiss if they can't prove in a reliable way how they seize and handle the evidence, which is critical. And part of this is they can't determine what classified information they intend to offer at trial when the prosecutors disclose that we don't know what was what applies. Because now Trump will now seek to use the classified documents to cross-examine witnesses, but they're going to have to do that now at the suppression hearings. And they're going to have to review the discovery to figure out what happened. And they've caused more problems. So now they're asking for the delay, and this is all of that there. And what did Judge Cannon do? Well, Judge Cannon pulls out her dick and rubs it in Jack Smith's face. And, here's the thing. Jack Smith probably was like, oh my God, I love this feeling. Yes, did they employ solo cups in the collection? I bet they could if they would have. Michael Setson says, I like how Rob Gavea refers to this case, the overdue library books. And I agree. Rob is very succinct in pointing that out. Yeah, this is all just garbage. This is all garbage. This is all 100% garbage. David Jones says, very enlightening topic for me as a UK resident. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Welcome to have you here. Hope you see you around. Ariel is a member for 2 months. Yes! Yes! We already got you, J-Rock. And Kia Pack says, you want something really cool? Look at the man-launched nuke to Davy Crockett. Those are neat, but even neater is a SATM, the Special Atomic Demolition Munition. And when you read about the green light teams, read about those guys called a green light team and what those special forces teams were supposed to do on the European front should the Russians invade. Oh boy, they're very interesting. So this is the judge's order. What are you saying? Red Cell's the only team I like. Well, Google the green light teams. They're pretty cool. So what happened here? Well, we got some stuff, chat. So they set a bunch of deadlines here. Okay, cool. So a sealed hearing in the grand jury matters. Not an evidentiary hearing regarding the motion to dismiss for selective and vindictive prosecution. Okay, that's going to be in May. A couple of different things here. We're going into June. We're pushing. Whoa. Trial is supposed to be this month. Motion to dismiss based on the unlawful appointment of the special counsel. Well, now we're into almost the end of June. And then we're into July. That's not good. The defendant's combined speedy trial report and the status conference. We're into July. So what does all this mean, chat? So that a finalization of a trial date at this juncture, before the resolution of the myriad of interconnected pretrial and SEPA issues remaining and forthcoming, would be imprudent and inconsistent with the court's duty to fully and fairly consider various pending pretrial motions before the court. So, ultimately, what does that mean here? Therefore, the court vacates the current May 20th trial date to be reset by separate order following resolution of all these matters, consistent with the defendant's right to due process and the public's interest in the fair and efficient administration of justice. Meaning, well, once we resolve all the matters, which are all these matters, all this crap, which might not be all of it, there might be even more. Once we get done with all this, we'll figure that out. And we're into, guys, remember, now we're into the end of July, which means we're into August, September, October, November. So there's a big issue. There is a big, big issue. So we're going to go. We're going to go into Judge Eileen Cannon just blowing holes in people, blowing out Jack Smith. Fancy way of saying, don't call me, I'll call you. Pretty much. You know, that's her way of saying, don't bother me with asking for a trial date. I'll tell you when we're having trial. Because now we get through all this, there might be, as Trump said, we got to do our research. We might file a motion to dismiss. So that's going to drag everything out. Magus has been a new member. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, in all cases, remember, kids, the FBI staged the Trump pics, but the Biden pictures came from him. Yet Biden was just hand waved away. Well, you know, there's that too. Lawfare gets a sad trombone. Womp, womp, womp. And it's funny because they're like, Judge Cannon needs to be removed. She's dangerous. It's like, I'll show you a judge in Indiana who's being really fucking dangerous. But no, Judge Cannon's doing her fucking job. And you know what? Even if she's in the orange man's pocket, fuck it at this point. I don't care. Old Red Lines is therefore the scariest word in law. Yes. Yes. You guys, you know, an Old Red Line probably knows this. J-Rock knows this. When you get like a ruling, sometimes you just flip to the back page and you look scan to find therefore, and you're like, therefore, and then you find out denied, granted, and you're like, or you get granted in part, denied in part, and you're like, ah, shit, now what? And you have to go back through and look. David saying, thank you. I've been watching most of your recent content on the trials, and the George Kelly one was an eye opener. And Reed and the Clayton trials are also unbelievable. Yeah, they are. And also, speaking of George Kelly, guys, we are working on trying to get our special guests. So we're working on that. Hopefully, I'll reach out to them tomorrow, see if they can do. When's Jack Smith's trial date for impersonating a federal official? Maybe sometime in 2025. You know, I'm not gonna lie. Trump's first thing when he gets in office, you sit down at his desk, be like, it's good to be back. Then Trump's like, you know, JSOC, give me Delta Force. Hey, I got a green light. I got a kill capture mission for you guys. Here, start taking notes. Here's what I want done. Mr. Patrick says, Sean, way to show Judge Cannon the appropriate level of reverence. I can't interview the corpse. Yeah. Oh. But that said, I think Judge Cannon did it right. She just blew them out of the water, and people are losing their damn minds, which that tells you all you need to know. People are freaking out. But it's also nice to know that that picture is bullshit. I mean, we've seen it. How long have we been dealing with it? They're like, oh my God, the Orange Man's so bad. Okay, so now we are moving on to, well, we talked about before not going to North Korea, and there was a soldier who defected over there like a dumbass. And we've also talked about the people down in Turks and Caicos taking their hunting gear or their range bags as carry-ons. Don't do that. Well, there's another thing now too, and that is if you're in the if you're an American, going to Russia is generally not a good idea. You show up and a U.S. active duty soldier went to Russia, and well, he got arrested. He's being detained, but now you can't leave. I don't think it matters at the end of the day. So, Army, Private First Class Gordon Black, went to Russia on suspicion of theft. What the hell do you think he could have stolen? Now, let's presume that he actually did steal something. What? And I'm sure those aren't ginned up charges. So, Staff Sergeant Black will be held in detention until July 2nd in Vladivostok. When you guys aren't familiar with Vladivostok, that is like the home of the Russian Pacific Fleet. It is also way down the part of Russia that gets way down by North Korea and China. So how did he get there, or why did he go there? Well, so he's accused of committing the secret theft of property of a citizen, causing significant damage to the latter. So what did he do? So anyway, he traveled to Russia and did not request official clearance to do so. Well, when you're in the military, you are the government's property pretty much, so you need permission to go to countries. So he left his unit in South Korea a month ago, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go from there. He took leave before he was going back to the United States. Okay. And Fort Cavazos, also used to be known as Fort Hood. Instead, he flew from South Korea to China. And then he went to Vladivostok, Russia. For personal reasons. And the foreign ministry, so the Russian State Department, has said this is not related to politics or espionage. Oh, yes, I'm sure he met some honest whore in Russia who's like, listen, Gordon, I love you so very much. Come see me. I love you. Helped me get the green card. And they say they understand it's a purely domestic crime. Okay. What? Was he going to beat the cam girl and say, bitch, you owe me money? Oh. Yes. There are a number of Americans being held in Russia. Not Brittany Griner. Including 2 have been declared as wrongfully detained. Wall Street Journal Evan Gerkovich and former Marine Paul Whelan. Mm-hmm. Notice they didn't get to come home because they are black tranny basketball players. And Black was seen in a video saying he understood Russia's position. Oh, I'm sure where the FSB guys would beat the living shit out of him. And he said, I think NATO is pretty aggressive, honestly. Okay. So then he said, I understand Russia's position. Obviously, they want to defend their country. But it's unclear. It gets cut off right then. So, yeah. So don't go to Russia and don't go hunt down your e-thought horror girlfriends. It's not going to end well, chat. Okay. I promise you it's not going to end well. Just promise me. Promise me, chat. You won't do that. Next he chanted from the river to the sea. Yeah. Kaz is saying Lamau. Note to self: don't get mad about being scammed out of a wedding ring you bought from a spy in her country. Yeah, you know what? I'm joking about that. Probably what it is. It's probably what he did. He got, he bought her all this shit, and then he found out, it was all fucking scam, and he was like, I'm gonna go confront this bitch. It's like, bro, that's the sad part. That's how that happened. Fernando says he was in Russia in full uniform. I don't fucking buy that. I don't buy that, but if he did, holy shit. Is a military person permitted to travel to Russia without authorization? No. No, 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 no. No. I was thinking he stole her phone. Maybe he did. Who knows? At least he wasn't playing War Thunder. Yeah. That would be funny that way. All right. Where are we at here? Okay, chat. We are all home. We're on the home stretch here. We are on the home stretch. We are gonna first go to the belt strangling. This is something that you watch those drone attacks in like Ukraine. You're like, wow, this is this is kind of nightmare fuel. You're like, wow, this is happening. So this is okay. So this happened in New York City. I mean, it happens in New York. Not surprised. But this is the dude, and he's got a belt. Okay, and watch this shit, man. Watch this shit, chat. This is fucking crazy. Oh, Ron says no visiting any countries, even Mexico or Canada, without permission from your command. Ooh. All right. If he comes back, he'll be court-martialed. He's going to be returned. Russia doesn't want him. So they're going to return him. You're saying this looks like Brazil, but nope, this is in New York City. So here we go. Now he hasn't killed her yet, because now he's going to rape her. And just look, he's here doing his thing. So, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing that happened. 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 That's a thing. Yep, New York City, guys. She dead? No, she's still alive. No, she's still alive. Kimbo saying staged. Yeah. Well. And then from there, well, you know what? Yeah. We'll go to this now. Out in Florida, if you guys aren't aware, there was a police shooting, and it involved a sheriff's deputy responding to a call. And he responds to a call, and he shows up, and here's what happens. So he walks into this apartment building's office, and here's what happens.
What's going on? I'm not sure. I just was told to let her know if you guys come back, so I'm gonna give her a quick call. So there was a fight going on or something? I was not present for that.
So right now he's been told, oh, something happened. Okay. So
Okay. Okay, what's cool?
So Karen's like, I think something's happening. Like, oh my God. Mr. Policeman, I think you need to get involved.
2 weeks ago, I'm walking by their apartment recently on this side, and I was hearing someone yell like, shoot, come out, like, stupid E-word or something like that. Like right after, but I wasn't sure where it came from. And I think, like, I didn't want to call the police.
Which room is it?
1401.
Brave Karen getting involved.
Well, the girl sounded scared, the one that called. She was like saying that, it sounded like it's getting real.
How does she know all this? She doesn't actually know.
So,
guy rides up the elevator, walking along. And now we get to the part. Can't hear anything. Knocking and hiding. That doesn't make you suspicious. Knocking and hiding. Yeah, that's not how bad guys act.
Sheriff's office, open the door.
Oh, now he's going to tell everybody what's here. Move to the other side and hide.
Sheriff's office, open the door.
At this point, there's no command to open the door. That's not a valid command.
Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
And yeah. Imagine being a weak-kneed little bitch like that. My God! Baby! Like, imagine that. Imagine that. Like, fucking hey, these cops need tampons. Like, they slip in their juice and they panic. Yes, the guy died. He's a guy that actually, there was nobody in the apartment. It was just him. He's dead. Yeah, never open the door. Although, don't worry, if you don't open the door, they'll figure out some way that's obstructing. So, and then they'll kick the door in. So, and the funny thing is, he could have opened the door and held a cell phone, and they could have panicked and shot him. Or have we seen in multiple other videos out there, guys walking up to the door of his apartment, and those 2 female cops fucking light him up. There's a million different ways you die now. Oh, no, he 100% had a gun in his hand. And Anubis says, this is what happens when quality cops quit the force. You just see it all the time now. No, cops have been fucking around and murdering people for decades. So, yes, this is the same department where that guy got scared by an acorn. Yes. Mm-hmm. And the female cop shooting through the window. Daniel Shaver's murder. All kinds of people getting clipped. So, yeah. Yeah. And moving on to other places in Florida, a state's attorney's office is responding to accusations of racism among prosecutors in a county. And he's mopping up the damage after a former employee called out his prosecutors for discriminating against Hispanics, saying it's a misunderstanding. So here's the document in question. So primary minor plea offenses, and when you're handling like a heavy flow of cases or something like that, like traffic stuff, you'll get one of these at the beginning. You'll make one. Like when I was in the public defender's office, we had one of these too for people. So you have no valid driver's license. Okay. If no criminal history, you get diversion. And that makes sense. If limited criminal history, withhold plus cost. Withholding adjudication. Okay. If an extensive criminal history and or Hispanic, adjudicated guilty plus cost. Now, yeah, okay. This is how this goes. If no criminal history, diversion. If limited criminal history, withhold plus cost. If extensive criminal history and or Hispanic, adjudicated guilty, which I think sounds pretty based. Well, it's illegal. So, what happened with this? Well, they tried to come back and claim, "Oh, you're misunderstanding us." So this came from a lady named Mackenzie Hayes, who left the office as she briefly worked there, but she told these reporters that she was shocked to see it up on the wall, outlining plea officers for driving without a valid license. Now, the prosecutor is saying the document is a memorandum. It doesn't reflect the policy of his office. He says an entry-level prosecutor was asked to write out the standard pleas at Jefferson County. When he wrote that out, he made a mistake. Instead of saying undocumented immigrants, he used the word Hispanics. If they're you can't prosecute people based on their immigration status like that. You can do it in an immigration court, but you can't just smack people with more criminal charges because of their national origin. That's illegal. You can't do that. So my point is, this is not any better. That's not better, chat. Yes. Oh shit, they said the quiet part out loud again. Yes. This is just not yeah. It's newspeak. Well, either way, you can't do that. Even if they're illegal, you can't charge them differently. Just because they're illegal, that's not how that works. And yes, because you're profiling a particular group and giving them punishments that far exceed the crime. Yeah, that's not legal. You can't do that. Once again, guys, it's kind of one of those deals where the Constitution's an all in or all out proposition. The prosecutor's working to make it right. We know that from now on, people are going to feel like we're fucking them over. And it's like, yeah, imagine that. Now, apparently, the lady who tipped him off to this, said if it's probably the policy in all the outerlying counties outside of Tallahassee, because Tallahassee is in Leon County. And he says, to be clear, if I ever find out that any of my employees are making decisions based upon inappropriate discrimination, I will separate them immediately. Okay, well, even if you're saying illegal immigrant, that's still illegal. Like, literally, that violates federal law. Yes, I'm saying the law is the law regardless of the perpetrators. It's yes. I'm for that equal application of law. I'm for that equal application, that good shit. That's what I want. Yes. Ray Pass says the Constitution needs to be amended to be applicable only to U.S. citizens. Well, how does that work if you're here on vacation from like France? Do you have no rights? Illegals should have zero rights here. Treat them like trash and make the fear to come here. That's. I understand what you're saying, but yeah, I'm not a fan of that, Chief. French, they are French though. Okay, fine. Not the French. Pick somebody else. But yeah, that's not a good look. This ain't good. This ain't good. I'm not gonna let this happen. It's like, but you already do. As to the non-English speakers learning the opportunity for redress, he says the prosecutor says advocates work with migrants in the Second Circuit. And he believes they'll spread the word. Yeah, they're gonna say fuck these guys. They're liars. So good job, you did it, Reddit. I think I got through everything here. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Oh. All right, guys. So that is it for tonight. I want to say thank you for everybody being here. This was a lot of fun. And where are we here with this? Yeah, we're all caught up. Caught up on all the questions. I, I like this, man. We need more rays. Yes. Well, no, Ray, I'm just saying you said it was only for US citizens, so US citizens mean only US citizens, not visa holders. So good show as always, my dude. Thank you. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed it, we will be at it tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with Kieran Reed, day 9. Like I said, we'll stop at lunch because my shit that was scheduled for tomorrow didn't resolve today. So I'll have a trial within the trial, and then we'll finish up Kieran Reed tomorrow afternoon. And that will be the plan. Tomorrow morning, guys, we are going to be live with Jeff at 8 a.m. for his fucking Friday. And that's it. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, everybody on Facebook, Twitch, Rumble, Kick. Everybody over on Locals. I will see you guys soon. And remember, until next time, chat. Remember, until next time. Just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. Even if you go steal your wedding ring back from a whore. Yes, we are doing locals tonight. Yes, locals right after this. Okay, guys, so remember, Just because you did doesn't mean you're guilty. Even if you're stealing your wedding ring back from a Russian whore, I'll let that one slide. You have the right to get that one back. So, good night, chat.
Attorney, was that the fat guy that Kate yelled at? Why, yes, it was.